we are going to be on a topic about restoring and rebuilding trust. This is a part B to a part A few weeks ago. And as we were kind of, and the reason we're here is to kind of circle back with some of those things. So maybe if you caught, the one before, this can complete it. If you're not here tonight, and then if you haven't caught the one before, this will be a nice companion, and you can go back and watch the recording from the one just what, 3 weeks ago, I think, or two. So, and as Miss Sarah Brown and I were warming up here, I just felt she was about ready to, we were talking about trust and what it looks different. And I asked her, well, what is it? You mean it feels different or looks different? And you were about to say what? Go.
Trust for me, I said it looks different for every person or scenario. And I said that because I needed other people around me as my loved one, especially as my loved one was in treatment and coming out of treatment. Um, I didn't know how to trust him. I had a lot of people telling me, you don't have to trust him for a long time. But then I had other people help me be aware of different things. Like, well, trust doesn't just mean he's telling the truth. Like, trust isn't about, is it the truth or is it not the truth? Trust can look different in all sorts of scenarios. Like, are you going to trust him to follow through with taking out the garbage because you asked him? Like,
Mm,
little like that. And I'd never thought about it that way. I just lumped it all into, am I feeling like he's telling me the truth or not? And I don't know if, and so I feel like trust looks different, but it can feel different. And so we can look at little things that our loved ones are doing that, in my case, I was enabling in a lot of ways. And I told myself every day, I am so helpful. Like, I do all of these things for him. He's so lucky to have me. And I had to let go of that. And I had to realize, you know what? He's a grown ass man, and I need to stay in my lane. I need to figure out the things that I can do and I can handle, and I need to trust and allow him chances to build that trust back with me. And so, but I needed someone to talk me through that and realize, you know what? He can take out the garbage, or he can do the dishes, or he can do whatever kind of even small tasks. And I started small, where I was like, okay, I trusted him by when I asked him that he would do it, and he did do it. Or when I asked him to go to the grocery store and he picked up the items I needed. That in a way is trust, because I asked him to do something and he was able to follow through. So I could trust that he listened and he would follow through. And so I think I love this topic, and I love that we're going back to discuss a lot of the slides, because it looks different. I think it can feel different, and we can open our eyes to baby steps that will help us interact with our loved ones and gain a trust back.
man, that is beautiful and brilliant. And we didn't coordinate before this, but those bullet points there, you hit those wonderfully about, and this third bullet point of a path, I find that, well, two things. One, when someone breaks trust, what's so insidious about that, and why trust is so important to relationships and society and whatnot, is if they're not faithful or truthful or honest or trustworthy in this thing, what else are they not trustworthy in? Especially when it comes to infidelity, using substances, raiding bank accounts, gambling or something where you're hiding something along with that, right? So then it's like, well, then you have to question what else is there. And as part of that, that's the rupture. And if the repair process, you're allowing yourself, like, okay, well, I know if I leave the kids here or him with the kids, no one's gonna die. He's gonna take care of them. So he's always been trustworthy around the kids, or he's always been trustworthy around, money. It's never been money. It just, but it's, and so when you kind of bring it into the lane that the trust was broken, you can affirm that. That's really important that then and but that goes along with, you've got to want to not kitchen sink things anymore. Because that's the other payoff for somebody who doesn't want to build trust, is they'll kitchen sink it, and they'll say, well, remember that time you weren't trustworthy 2 years ago and you didn't ever say sorry or whatever, and then it becomes really enmeshed. It's really hard to do this next thing of like, well, what's the path forward then? Because then the person who's trying to rebuild trust wants to give up, and the other person who doesn't want to give it up, they feel powerful, but then they're alone. Like, and then things aren't working. That's money. Your money. That's brilliant.
Life experiences help us out, and I needed help from other people's life experiences. So that's one thing I love about family group. I have lived through it, but I can learn from others who have as well.
So what's all right? So if your trust, so not it, and so your trust has been broken, and now you're rebuilding trust. And you're familiar with kintsugi, or the idea
No,
of kintsugi?
no,
Kintsugi is the ancient art of repairing pottery with gold.
yeah, yes, yes.
So if you've chosen to put the thing back together, and you've now made it beautiful again by putting gold in the seams, and now, in some ways it's more beautiful than it was before, or stronger or different. If the gold thread, the gold cement is a treasure, what's some of the treasure you've picked up from going through that process? And now in the restoring the trust, what's some of the strengths that have come along with that rebuilding that trust?
Oh, good question. There's so many. I recovery is just a gift, honestly. My life has never been so good. Um, some of the strengths I would say, I, I mean, I was a big enabler. I was taking care of everything. I was doing a lot of things. I wouldn't trust him to do a lot of things. So when I allowed him to do things, it took away fear. It took away a lot of my overwhelming thoughts. It took time for me to figure out me. So like I had to figure out, like, am I okay? Am I just doing all of these things so I feel important? Like there's a place for it, or do I need
Woo!
it because I'm doing,
Yeah.
do I need? So I really had to look and see, okay, well, what is my job here? What's his job? What do we? So communication towards each other, like, okay, we have this new start, a fresh start. We're slowly filling up our bank of trust with each other because he had to learn how to trust me as well. And so it was just, there's so many gifts. But I think just letting go of the worry. Like I just had so much worry. I couldn't trust him to pick up the carpool on time. I couldn't trust him to be driving if he was drunk or not. I couldn't trust if he said he hadn't had a drink. I couldn't. So there was so much fear and just worry all day, every day. And
Ooh.
so working through to let go of that gave me a whole new life. Like I'm like, okay, well, if I can trust him to take out the garbage and trust him to pick up the carpool and he's continuing to do these things, and then I can slowly get back to realize, okay, well, where's my place? What's my role in our family now? What's my role with this? What's my role with this? And just gave me so much freedom because I had to grow. I had to change and be willing to let go and allow him to live his life and communicate that. Does that make any sense at all?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's a lot of times when people are kind of the black sheep, that it's one of the things that when that dynamic happens, I feel is the person who's labeled the black sheep or the troublemaker is actually the truth teller. And they're the ones that are reflecting back the unhealthy parts of the relationship. And that relationship usually can't function as long as that person is there to help restore health to the sick family dynamic. And if the family dynamics, heals, then the black sheep doesn't have a job. And so a lot of times I feel like when you're asking like, well, who am I? If he's not broken, then who am I? And a lot of times we have to come back like, yeah, who are you? So how about you stop trying to control that can be a part, and then you start allowing yourself to claim an identity that's independent of how somebody is acting or not acting. So you have to drive yourself crazy wanting them to act a certain way that is in line so you can tell yourself what you need to tell yourself. Like that's great. It's maddening. and it wrecks your health.
That's where I get unmanageable. Everything, every part of my day was unmanageable. Living in fear and worry of what was going to happen all day, every day.
What
But
are some of your fibs you were telling yourself to keep that going? Some of your favorite fibs you had to let go for that to come back to alignment.
feelings aren't facts. Just because
Ooh,
I think something doesn't mean it's the truth. That's one that I even yesterday I told myself, I'm like, feelings aren't facts. It doesn't matter how I feel. It might not be what's the truth. So that one I love.
I love that.
Yeah. Because it's, I mean, it's true. I'm feeling that way. That's fine. I was feeling like I was intruding in this situation that I was going to yesterday. And I was like, oh, just because I'm feeling like I'm intruding doesn't mean that's the truth. I can use words, I can communicate, and it turned out to be amazing. And I just was so thankful for the opportunity.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it. Any other favorite fibs you had to let go?
um, to let go of, oh, there's just so many things that run through my mind. Um, like if I'm taking it towards trust or taking care of me, trying to figure out how to relearn where my role is.
Well, I think either one's fine. And if nothing's coming up or you don't want to share, that's totally fine too. I just, sometimes and often it's not a straight out lie or a fib, it's a half truth. It's a fib partnered with a truth. Like I can't trust him now because he wasn't trustworthy 2 years ago. Or you know what, I couldn't trust him to be, go to the store and get the list. So therefore I can't trust me to do the dishes or whatever. And so um often when we're willing to like because I see it with tech too, right? As a parent, often I'll let my kids indulge in tech because I want to indulge in tech. And I tell them you shouldn't be on it, but I'll like, oh, you guys want us to watch? Sure, you can finish the show so I can be on my little tech time, right? And that's the fib I tell myself is like, I'm an adult, so I don't have to do discipline like I'm asking them to do discipline when that's hogwash.
Yeah.
95% of the time.
Yeah. And it happens all the time. Um, yeah, nothing comes to mind necessarily except I like feelings. A lot of times that's where it hits me hard.
That is
Uh,
powerful. Feelings aren't facts, or yeah.
I think a lot of times when I have told myself over and over again where if I start in something and I catch myself now where I'm like, well, in the past, and I'm like, okay, that's a history lesson. He doesn't need a history lesson. He may or may not remember it anyways. And I need to realize this isn't going to help me or him in any way. So I need to reword it. So if I'm like, well, in the past, okay, history lesson. I'm like, okay, moving forward, this is my fear. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I need. What are your thoughts?
Woo! Anybody listening to this, that is a bomb right there. That is, oh, that is way, way easier to tell somebody to do than to actually do and then do in the moment. When you want, like, the resentment comes up, or the anger, or the injustice, or the how could they not know or see or understand, and to get your energy to be focused on what you want, not what you don't want. Well, I'm gonna give you a history lesson so you know what I don't want. So I'm gonna explain all the things I don't want from you so that you'll do what I want. I just told you all the things I don't want, and that's gonna attract that energy. But you are one awesome rock star to do like that. History lesson's great. It's not a history that's not was required right now. Right now is future lesson. What do I want you to do going forward?
Well, and it takes so much time to get to that place. And I countless times had to reround and come back and say, I'm sorry for earlier. I was giving you a history lesson. And if I can word it that way, it kind of lightens the mood. It doesn't feel like I'm attacking him. It kind of opens him to be willing to be like, okay, yeah, all right. But a lot of times when I am in the middle of a history lesson without me, that just helps me be aware of it, that that's what I'm doing. He tunes out before I get to the part of what I need him to do, anyways. So I've had to go back lots of times and say, I'm sorry for the history lesson. This is what I meant to say. I'm a work in progress. Thanks for helping me through it, whatever. I mean, it's just taken time. You got to practice it. And I had a lot of chances to practice and be aware of, ooh, history lesson again.
I love that way to frame it, man. That is so awesome. I yeah, I love that. I was something to say about doing it in the moment, but it's escaped me. It'll come back. Okay. I remember. I found a lot of times there's no one that's going to see or understand your hurt that that person did, especially the more like you try to get them to understand. It's almost like it becomes worse, right? I'm going to give you this history lesson because I need you to know that this is really bad or hurt me or all that kind of stuff. And when you get healthy or in your healthy place, you can usually get there and they'll take an interest in it. But when you're in the moment and it's somebody's getting activated or the emotions getting really big, and I spend a lot of time like I just want somebody to know what it is. So along with like a therapist or a counselor or a coach, Jesus always sees me. And if God can always see it, a lot of times I say, God, I need you to know and see and just say the word, this is what happened, this is what's going on. I'm so angry about this. And I feel like even doing that way in the validation, it it really allows me to come back and say the words and practice the forgiveness and learn the lesson and set the boundaries and like you're talking about. So sometimes, if anyone listening doesn't feel like you want somebody to get you, I think if you practice that with God or Jesus or Buddha or whatever, that is really significant.
So I mean, I don't, one of the things I focus on every single day is I call them my G's because, and it doesn't necessarily correlate with trust, but I feel like it correlates exactly with what you're saying. Like, I had to get to a point where I didn't know how to let go of the pain or the worry or the stress. And for me, it is God. My higher power is God. And I was like, how can I get it through my head to be like, I just need to reach out to God. Like I can say things out loud. I can say a prayer. I can vent. I can just do whatever because I believe there's a God that's listening to me and can hear me. But I couldn't get it through my head. So for months and months, I'm like, when am I going to remember that there's just a God right there and I can do that? So I got to the point where I was like, I need to tattoo a G on my hand so that I just see it all the time. And I'm like, I'm going to remember. It was just pure panic. Just, I knew it'd help me and I couldn't get there. And then it slowly changed into once I could talk to God and vent and pray and be like, I don't know what to do. I need help with this. I don't know how to let go. It turned into adding a G for great or for grateful. Once I kind of spewed it all out to my God, I could be like, okay, well, okay, now I did that. What can I focus on? I can be grateful for something. I can be grateful that I said that to God. I have that God there, or I can be grateful for other things like, oh, I my loved one's sober at this moment, even though I can't let go and trust. Like he's sober there, and then I add another G on there to grace. Like I don't know how to have grace for myself, but in those moments, if I focus on God and grateful, then I'm like, and it's okay that I'm human and I can't get through this and I'm working baby steps. So that for me is God's a big part of my life now because I do vent, I do talk out loud. I'm like, wow, today I'm really stressed. Go ahead and take the stress for a while and lead me. So I'm a big God person. So you saying that is huge. And that's another thing that's helped me through a lot.
My mom she rocked my world one day when she caught me. Just, one of those times, you're at the house together or whatnot. And she just said, sometimes people look at God or like a light, like Christian life of like, you want to avoid pain or challenge or suffering. And she just said, how can you know Jesus if you don't know suffering and pain and loss? He was on the cross. He got whipped. He like was scourged, was alienated, was hurt, was ignored, was, tried, he was perfect, and yet he was, arrested and all that stuff. And it's just like you can't know your God without knowing those things. And it like the way you can transmute that with that G practice. And I don't know if it's come from, I don't know, the one G that came up for me to contribute there is grit. So you've got gratitude and grace, and you've got gratefulness, gratitude,
God.
God, gratefulness, and
Okay.
grace. And I think adding grit in there too, of just like, yeah, sometimes you gotta like carry the cross, and that doesn't go away just because you say this sucks. God hears you, doesn't take the cross off your shoulders or your burdens often. And I think that grit is part of it.
Absolutely. I love that because the grit allows you to be like, okay, well, I'm not alone. Like, yeah, I can make it through this. I love that. Thank you.
Especially because that comes out like in Brene Brown's shame research, right? That grit has a different quality than just enduring or suffering, or you know often when we go through challenges, we will disconnect from our bodies because it hurts too much, right? So we'll disassociate or we'll shut off or inaccess. But grit allows you to be a part. It's like you're in the moment in the pain, and you're letting it change your body, but you're aware of it. I think that is significant.
Totally different energy when you think about
Mhm.
grit of it. Yeah, I love that.
So this is really interesting. I thought I was going to do this at the beginning, and I'm going to share something with you that I've been doing with clients and groups the last little while. That has just been, I just have loved it. Do you happen to? So we'll try this. This works great in person, but we're going to try it over Zoom. Do you happen to have anything with you that's circular, that's like a ball that is at, in your room there?
Like a ring?
Okay,
Oh,
let
yeah,
me show you.
I got
What's
a
that?
coin. A 2-year sobriety coin. Even though I'm not sober, when my husband got his 2-year chip, I got one too.
Yeah,
Circle.
let's try this out. Okay. So I want you to look at this. So this is like a ball. It's kind of thick and heavy. It's a bodywork ball. So this is like a foam roller. So you use it to like roll out knots and muscles and stuff like that. So what I've been doing when I start groups is I've been calling this is the black hole of bullshiz, right? Well, in my home we say bull sugar. So it's a black hole of BS. And what I'll do is I'll allow people to like pass it around, and they can put in the black hole of the BS, any BS that's getting in the way of our time together. And
Hmm.
I always let them know you can pick it up before you leave. You don't have to like give it away. So just put it in there so it clears a space for you while we're talking, so we can have a great, experience. So I'm gonna pass this to you through the computer, and I want you to just grab your coin, and if that feels right, or you can just pretend I'm passing it to you. Yeah, let me try just passing it to you first, and then just
Okay.
you pretend like you're holding it, and try putting some BS in there and see. Let's see how this works. Is that cool?
Hey,
Okay.
vocally put some BS in there. Bull
Yep.
sugar. Things that I tell myself is a lot of the BS that I deal with.
And if there's something you want to put in there, but you don't want to name it on the recording, just say this thing is going in there. But
Okay, well, this thing is going in there. Yeah,
cool.
like, and
Whoa.
we could just
That was a
tile
big, whatever that was a big deal for you, wasn't it?
yes, this resentment's going in there.
Woo! I
Yeah,
felt your energy shift all the way over here when you did that. Holy cow.
that's
That was
pretty
crazy.
cool. I love that idea. Yeah, put it in your
Anything
booty
else?
ball and move it.
Anything else you want to put in there?
That's been heavy on me all day. So this feels good.
All right, hand me back the ball.
All right.
What I'm gonna put in here is that attitude of like when things are going well, to like kind of take my foot off the pedal and be like, okay, I'm good, and kind of coasting. I don't want to like I'm in a really good flow this last week, and often when I'm doing well, I'll start coasting, and I don't want to I want to put in like coasting in here so I can keep my pedal like still engaged, still driving it at speed.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm putting there. So I've been doing that for a few weeks now, and remind me, well, before we're done, I'll get we'll you have a chance to pick it back up if you want it. Okay.
Okay.
But I've been doing that for the last little while, and it has been dynamite. Like it's been game changing. And when I let people like pick it back up, I let them know like you can also just pick up like 50% of it or 20% of it. And it's
Mhm.
really great when people own it, they pick it back up. It's not the same. It's different for them. And it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person and I love that. And letting go of that energy and letting go. No, I don't need to worry about it.
Boom. Yo, John, how you doing, brother?
Hey guys, sorry I'm so late.
You're here
No.
now.
Yeah.
Well, it's good because you were here a few weeks ago when we were doing this same lesson, and that's what I wanted to kind of. I said I'd next time I'd follow up on it. So we're kind of on that lesson of restoring and rebuilding trust, and we're kind of going through some of the high points here and talking about it. So you'll be what to see the recording as well. But I just went through kind of an exercise with Sarah that I've been doing with some group work, and I've got this ball. It's like an exercise ball. You use to like rub out knots, like a foam roller thing to rub out knots and that kind of thing. But the way I've been using it in my groups is I've been like letting people like put the BS, this is like the black hole of BS. So let them put the BS in there that's getting in the way of us having like a good, productive, engagement, and then
Yeah.
let them pick it back up, before we're done here. So I know you just jumped on. I know you're here now. Is there any BS that you might want to put in this thing that we can like put there for now so we can get the most out of the time we do have?
Oh gosh.
Let me pass it through the computer to you, and you
Okay.
just pick it up on your end. So just pretend like you've got it now in your hands. Oh,
Uh,
check that out. Okay, check that out. Why do I not have a surprised feeling? That's freaking awesome.
uh God, this
And what like with Sarah, there was one like if you just want to tell me this thing's going in because you don't want to name it on the recording, that's totally fine too. But as long as you just intentionally put something in there that you're like, I don't want to say what it is, but it's this thing.
just you know, the BS of life, like stuff like just comes at us at any direction. Like and sometimes we're just not ready for it. That's you can only prepare for so much and some things kind of just hit us out of the blue, whether it's um work, family, just external kind of things. I know it's really vague and broad, uh, and also like our situation. Like I'm ready to like move forward with Christy. I'm ready to move forward with you know putting all of this just BS and just ball it up, yeah, and just throw it away, kind of thing. I know I know it's our reality kind of thing,
So
and it's
John, while you're talking, instead of talking out there, go ahead and start just putting it in there. I'm gonna put in the BS of job in here, BS of not being prepared, BS of like so just start like putting it in there, listing it off.
yeah, just the BS of life. Put it in
Yep.
the addiction,
Yep.
the damage. That's the BS. Like I want like the damage of life, of like the addiction of everything in our marriage, in our family. Just I can just somehow compact this and just put it and
You're
smash
doing it
it.
right. You're doing it right now. Put it, just keep on going.
Yeah.
Keep on
Just
going.
there. That's it. Like I'm just ready to just go forward. This little black ball of cancer, like
It's a black
literally
hole. It can take it, man. Let it take it.
let it go, like and just move on. Yeah.
Keep going, man.
No, that's good. Like that's like in what I want. This put it away and just not have it. Do everything I can to not let it return.
So before we're done here tonight, you'll have the option to take it out of that ball. But why don't you go ahead and pass me that ball back? Got
There
it.
you go.
Okay. I'll give it back to you. By doing that, did you feel a shift in your energy or your body?
Yeah, literally, like I felt almost empowered. I felt kind of like an adrenaline kind of in my chest kind of thing. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Did you see that, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
powerful because it just happened to her too. She did the same thing, and all of a sudden, her just energy just shifted dramatically. That's
Yeah.
powerful. Good job, you guys. That's amazing.
So
so
I think have you guys ever done, it's almost like that same feeling, like have you ever done one of those like smash rooms?
Yeah,
You just go in and you just smash the hell out of whatever's in these things.
I love it. All right, so tell me how, and we were talking about this a little earlier too, of, I think Sarah characterized like a history lesson. Sometimes you get caught up when somebody's trying to restore trust, of like giving them a history lesson of, hey, these are all the ways that, you're not there for me. I couldn't trust you, did all this kind of stuff. And she made a, like, you tell me, Sarah, what, like the history lesson that you were used to do, or,
well, I started trying to be aware of, okay, I would tell him like, I can't trust you to do this because in the like last year or last month you did this and this and this and this, and I'd get caught up in telling him all the things he, like a history lesson of all the things he did. And by the time I got around to saying, but I need you to do this, this is what I would like you, he'd tune out and be done. And so I started realizing I'm giving a history lesson. Okay, sorry about the history lesson. This is what I'm feeling right now. I'm worried that you're not going to pick up the carpool on time because of my history lesson I just gave to you or whatever reason. I'm just worried about it. This is where I need to trust you that you're just going to do it. And so I started saying the words like, "Oh, that's a history lesson. Sorry about that." And but before I got to that point, countless times I would have to come back and say, okay, sorry for the history lesson. And if I said it that way, it kind of lightened the mood. Like he was willing to listen to what I had to say, and I was willing to say, I I just at that point I needed to tell you, you know how you hurt me? This and this and this and this and this. But it didn't help in any way of me trying to move forward. And so it was helpful for me to use the term history lesson because then I was like, chances are he probably doesn't remember, or when I start into it, he doesn't care to remember. So he's like, okay. So I started doing that, and that helped a lot for me to see where I could build trust and where I could say, this is how I'm feeling. This is actually what I need. I just need you to pick up the carpool and be good with that. And so I don't have to worry about it. So moving through different scenarios, that's helped me in the past.
I think I wanted to share that or brought that up because especially raising kids, when it comes up often is we end up giving our kids more attention for the things we don't want them to do than attention for the things we do want them to do. And part of getting the change out of our people or ourselves is often just almost noticing the things that we're doing that we want them to do, and just starving the attention of like, okay, did the dishes again like I didn't want him to do because I like it this way. Instead of saying that, you're like, thanks for doing the dishes. Perfect. And like try and move that way of creating a path, right? And making the path feel good to walk, not just you should do it because you're supposed to, because I asked you, because it's the right thing to do, because that's what a good Christian does, whatever. But like make it feel good. Like, hey, you did the dishes. I really appreciate you. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. Even though it's the last thing you want to do in the moment, but you're willing to give to get. All right.
Yeah.
I think I don't think we talked about this as much last time. Um, do you feel like when you're kind of putting that stuff there in the ball there, John, that the grudges now maybe have served their purpose and you're ready to start transforming those and letting those go so you don't have to be so walled off from your partner?
Yeah. The we kind of like we had kind of a little bit, you know, all kind of like our first argument kind of fight. I found myself like those grudges, that grudge wall, just like uh I don't know if you ever watch your kids or anybody if they've ever played Fortnite, but the people that can build on that game, just like super fast, and like all of a sudden there's this massive,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
you know, I felt that grudge wall just build up just like that, and like, and I had to like take a step back and realize like, holy crap, like I have to let go maybe a little bit. I didn't realize that I was still hanging on to those, and it took me a couple days. It took us a couple days to kind of like come back. I don't even remember what the argument was, but I remember that feeling, that grudge, that like, oh man, like I have to, that's something I really, really have to focus on and work on. If I really want to move forward and we want to have a better relationship, I have to like fight that urge to build those walls up when, you know, and like she's doing, it wasn't even over the addiction. It was something over like silly. Like I don't remember what it was.
Well, hold on a second. I love the analogy, but let's follow it through. In Fortnite, when you're building those walls, it's because usually you're under attack or
Yeah.
direct, or you feel like you're under attack. So what were some of the bullets that were flying your way that you perceived them to be under attack? Because that
Then
in
that,
that case, the walls were doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which is protecting you from an attack or a perceived attack. So in that way, you're doing exactly what you should have been doing.
but I don't even remember what it was about. Like that was, I mean, I just remember the emotion. I remember that feeling of like, I'm feeling attacked. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling like I have to guard myself, you know, and you know, looking back, I'm like, I don't remember what it was about. And I just remember I know the feeling that I had while in that moment. And I remember the feeling of like, whoa, hang on a second. If we're supposed to really, if we really want to move forward, I really need to be able to like know is where's in a way of like, where is she coming from? And is this like, is she being really attacking me, or am I attacking her? Or did something really happen that's, you know, for me to rebuild that trust, like with her, she almost has to rebuild that same trust with me too, of how I am going to react, you know, because I'm learning one thing through this is how like relapse is a part of this as well. And how am I going to react, you know, if or when that might happen, you know? Um, and like she kind of had a stressful day the other day, and something that she's never done before in the past was call me and be like, I am really struggling today. Like I'm looking at the clock, and I mean, she was looking at the clock waiting for 11 o'clock to hit to almost like bail, call out of work, everything, and take off. I'm like, hold on a second, I will be right there. Like I can work from home, I can do everything. And like I just reassured her, like, look, I almost kind of had to give her a history lesson, Sarah, of almost like, you've never done that before. You know, this is the first time. This is a huge step for us, a huge step forward, where you let me know where you were struggling. And I just had to like, I had to give a little bit of history. And
I
also,
feel like
like,
that's not history. I feel like that's acknowledging her growth.
it
I
is.
feel like you're like, wow, you reaching out is huge. I'm there for
Huge,
you.
Yeah.
huge.
And I went, got this lunch, came home. We were able to just like, you know, she didn't have to just explain anything to me. It was just the fact that like she knew like at a moment's notice I would be at home right there, and just to be with her. We didn't have to like go into the details of everything. It's just the fact that somebody was there to listen to her. Like my mind is like fix, fix, fix. He's like, no. He's like, you just need to be there to listen.
B. Yeah.
Be there to listen. Like, and it was huge. And so that was like a huge step for her to rebuild trust with me and for me to build trust with her. And so it just, and then she was at that moment she's like, I don't want to go to the IOP tonight, all this stuff. And she went, and she was able to like take this black ball, and like, she was having some issues with boundaries with family members that weren't respecting those boundaries. And so she was able to like kind of, it was someone that she was close with, and she was heartbroken that she might have to like really put some hard boundaries up. And now by going back to her IOP meeting, all that stuff, she was able to just stuff it into this ball. And she came back like, I am so glad I went. I got it off my chest. I feel better now. I know what I need to do.
Wait, where does she go to IOP at?
I am recovery.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so was she talking about this activity right here?
No,
Oh,
no, but like she was able to just basically just get it off her chest.
that's amazing.
And just like literally she went in, I'm like, I offered, I'm like, look, let me just take you, not a big deal. I'll come pick you up afterwards. And I kind of had that feeling like maybe I should take her, because like she's in that mindset, like, I don't want to go. And I think she kind of realized that too. Like, no, like, yeah, why don't you take me? So that way we make sure she goes, all this stuff.
Winning together, baby.
Yeah, we're in it together, and when I picked her up, man, she was like a whole different person.
Yay.
Recovery is a gift.
Was
It
that
was
this
just-
week?
Yeah, it was, let's see, it was yesterday. It was Wednesday.
Yay.
So like,
Hallelujah.
just transformed.
You have a chance to re-round with her and bring it up a couple times. Like,
Yeah.
just be like, hey, do you know what meant so much to me? You trusting me with how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And allowing me and giving me a chance to react the way I wanted to and not how I did in the past.
Yeah.
So then that's acknowledging, hey, you did this for me. I was able to be there for you. Like, we're moving towards this trust thing. Like, I mean, not that you have to bring it up a lot, but I mean, if she came to you and she was like, wow, thanks for trusting me with this, it really meant a lot to me. You just are like, yeah, oh yeah, I did do that. Like,
yeah. It was just awesome. Like the feeling, everything was just amazing.
I think you should keep going.
No, like and that's how my mind works. I really focus, like I really like that huge building block for me is going to carry me to the next time. And I think I really hope it carries her too. And then we can involve our girls, like, hey, mom's kind of struggling. You might want to send her a text message, just like, hey, I love you. Just little things like that would mean the world to her. And so,
can I give you a put up, John?
What's that?
Can I give you a put up?
Sure.
So what I saw as you were describing that experience, what I saw is you very satisfied and pleased and proud of yourself and proud of your person and the way that she chose to show up, and it felt like it showed respect for you, and that she was showing respect for you in the relationship by the way she acted, that was like the best for you. Did I read that right?
Yeah. Because before, when she would have these kind of stressful situations, she would just disappear.
Yeah, which is the worst.
Yeah. And instead of, does she have to come to me for everything? But stuff like, it would be nice to have that, like, that trust with each other, and yeah, it just made me just so proud of her.
Beaming. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she realized, like, hey, I'm almost at my 60-day mark.
Woo!
Like all these different things, like, yeah, like I've got like, and then she came back like just almost like a new resolve kind of thing. And so it was awesome.
That is so awesome.
I was thinking, oh, I'm so glad you jumped on, just so I could feel that strength and that joy and the growth. Thanks for sharing. That's so awesome.
Well, and it was just even better to like I was in my head, I was like, holy crap, I don't know how to handle this, because I'm just like, what, like, at my work, I'm the general manager. And so when people have problems and all these things, and we don't know how things are going to fit in our warehouse and all this other stuff, like, I have to like instantly fix. Your job is just to listen. You got to like remove that fix part. He's like, I'm the same way. Like, I want to fix. I just want to hug. I tell her I love her, all this stuff. But sometimes they just need a voice, and they just need somewhere where their voice can land. And that was like, to be able to have that kind of support from John, and, was huge for me, to help like somebody, like, help me navigate what to do for the first time that this happened. Because like I never knew, it never happened. So I like,
Yeah, what do I do with success? I know what to do with failure, but we're having successes. How do I handle this one?
yeah. And
So, John, that's a huge step for you. Like, you reached out to someone, you have support. Like, that's why I'm like, family support is so huge. I just needed people I could reach out to, and I didn't have to explain a whole story. I could just be like, what do I do? This is happening. And they could be like, oh, just lead with love, do this, do that. And it could be like, okay, I just needed that little pep talk or whatever. And
yeah,
without having family groups, or without having people you can reach out to, or Al-Anon, or however you choose to do it, like, that's huge for you. You didn't have to do it alone. You knew you weren't alone. You were like, I don't know what to do in this situation. And you reached out to someone. That's so awesome for you. Yeah, I hope you know how many people would be there for you. And in those moments, you don't have to try to figure it out alone.
yeah. And so, yeah, it was,
So cool.
the day was just a huge, you know, yeah, she was down, but it was a huge success kind of thing. It ended really well. The day ended well. So
But we ain't done yet. We still got a few more hours in the day.
again, she's like, no, like, work. She starts work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then going to her IOP, and it goes till 8 o'clock. So it's a long day for her. She's like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go, but she's like, I know I need to. And, got on the phone with her right before as she was driving there, like, look, again, I'm proud of you. Keep it up. You're doing fantastic. Tomorrow night, we don't have it tomorrow night. We're going on a date. Keep it going. So
here's another suggestion that I had someone suggest for me, because I had my kids and I know you have the girls at home. I like, you could let them know. You could be like, hey, mom didn't want to go tonight, but I'm so proud of her that she was like, do you know what? I really need to do this. This is important. So even though she didn't really want to, she's there. And or you can bring it up and be like, yesterday she didn't really want to go and she did. Did you guys notice her when she came back? How like happy and joyful and peaceful she was? Like, because then it helps them realize they can trust you with their feelings. It's all sorts of things, but
yeah,
it includes them in the let's slowly build trust with mom. Like,
yeah,
so they have to figure it out on their own. But I was thankful that someone told me about it, and I could have those discussions with my kids, and I could be like, oh yeah, he's on day 49 of 90 and 90 meetings, because that's what he chose to do. But I could say, hey, yeah, did you know dad's on day 49 today of meetings? And it didn't have to be a lot, but it was like, I'm acknowledging his growth. And a lot of times I did it in front of him. I didn't have to, but little things like that, being aware and noticing, or like, hey, you know what? Mom had a hard day the other day, and she called me and we were able to have a conversation. It was the most amazing thing. Like, they don't need to know details, but they can feel your energy and feel like, okay, dad's okay. Dad's okay right now. And that means I can be okay. Because I think my kids waited until it was like clear signs of, if mom's okay, we can start moving forward. So that was it that someone helped me with, that I valued.
No, that's a good point. Like, because they always know they can always tell when something's stressed, like if I'm stressed or mom's stressed or something like that. And, and because they asked, like, I was like, I'm like, yeah, great. Like, mom's just having a rough day. She called me. I came home from work and we're good. Like, and maybe I just needed to let them know just a little bit more, because they're older, they can handle it.
Right.
I think that would be
in that way. You can say, yeah, mama's having a minute. She was having a moment.
Yeah.
But Do you know what she did? She called me, and I
Yeah.
was able to go home. And so then it changes the energy, just not like, oh, we're fine. Yeah, mom had a moment, we're fine. But it changes like I'm proud of her. Like they can feel like
Yeah.
she called me and we were able to connect. And then she went to her meeting. She felt great. Like I don't like things like that where I've tried to focus on my energy where they could really feel, not just hear me say, yeah, we're fine. She had a moment. We're good. We're good.
Yep.
So
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
then
amen what Sarah said about, I think part of the reason that you hopped on and the gift we can give you is witnessing you. And witness the stuff when it goes well, because that's really powerful. And just notice and put that up. I really appreciate that Sarah said that.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Um, Along that fixing, a phrase I use with my coaching clients often is, and with my close people, is, hey, call me when you're struggling, and I promise I won't fix anything for you. So I actually let them know, like, I'm not gonna fix it. And that creates that space right off the bat. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna hold space for you, or I'll just be with you. And then when somebody wants to tell you something, they know it's you're not going to try and figure it out for them. And you know, the opportunity you have as the person who holds the standard now, because you are the standard, you are representing what your family's trying to live up to, is the more you allow her, the more you practice being, you get out of the way of her doing her own work. And that way she gets the reward for doing her own work. I didn't realize for the longest time when I tried to change and be all this certain way from my spouse, I was keeping her from doing her work. When I wouldn't say what was really on my mind, when I would tell a half truth or withhold or eat my words or bury a resentment, I didn't realize that the reason it didn't feel so good is because I was trying to do somebody else's work for them, and I wouldn't want somebody to do my work for me because then I don't get the upside. So the more you hold the standard and just hold space, you allow her to do her work, and that feeling of pride that you're exhibiting, it just naturally is a byproduct of that. And then she gets to feel, or whoever's doing it gets to feel pride because they are doing their own work, and you now get to witness and just say, "Hey, good job. Yeah, that was a miss today, but you know what? We recovered," or whatever it is. Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up. All right, Sarah, I'm gonna give you the black ball of BS. Pass that through. All right, do you
uh,
want to pick up whatever you put in there? You want to take it back? Or you want to leave it in there?
oh, maybe just half of it.
Half of
I
it? I love it.
I just want to let it all go, but I know with resentments, so I decided to just call mine resentments, John. I have a resentment that I need to work through. I need to face it, but it felt good to let it go for a little while.
Yeah.
I
Like,
can come at it with a different energy. So I'll pick up half of it and think about it.
I love it. All right. You want to hand it back?
Yep.
Got it? All right, John, I'm gonna hand you the ball of BS, the black hole of BS. You got it? You want to pick up those things you put in there? You want to take them back?
I don't.
Okay.
No. I want them
Leave
to
them in there
stay.
then.
Yep.
Good.
Another day.
All right, pass it back. Got it. And I'm definitely leaving mine in there too. 100%. All right, guys. Let's bring it home.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support. The strength and support and joy I feel in these meetings is huge. Thanks.
You guys were awesome. John, if you have the recording, it's crazy what you came on to share about the last half. It ties directly into the first half. So when you watch the recording, if you choose to, it's like it was planned almost the way it leads up into what you shared. It's really cool.
No, I'm finding out these meetings are there's things that happen that just aren't coincidences anymore.
Yeah.
I say
It's
the otter is a god.
yeah, no, it's
Oh, I
even
love that. Oh, God, I love that.
last week's meeting was awesome. We had somebody that was brand new to this, and it was with Jared and her daughter. She's at the beginning stages, and like where we're at, she was nervous, all these things, and so we were able to like help support her and the anxiety of like the first 5 days. I was able to like just and she gave me support because I'm terrified right now to go to an Al-Anon meeting. This I feel safe with because there's like safety in small numbers. I feel so much anxiety to be able to get up and share in front of a bigger group.
John, I see you at an Al-Anon meeting anytime. You tell me when and I'll be there.
Yeah, but this, you know, this I'm comfortable with. And so
Totally.
they really do help. And yeah, it just helps carry me for another week in a way.
Sarah, look
Hopefully,
how proud he is of himself in the situation. I love the energy, dude. I'm so like
I
head up,
know.
shoulders back. It's dynamite. It's amazing.
Well, hopefully you feel like a valued member, John, because you give so much. Like we need your energy. We need
Facts.
your life experiences makes you just as qualified as us.
And my boy is gonna be thrilled that we used a Fortnite reference in our discussion tonight. He's gonna just flip and say, "See, Fortnite's important, Dad."
You put down the Fortnite walls of resentment. That's what it is.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. Thanks
Have a
so
great night,
much.
everybody.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Cheers.